Mat Pilates is pretty cool. You get to perform all these complex movements, strengthen your core, all while looking after your lower back. But if you don't know how to breathe properly, or have no clue what your T-zone actually is, a lot of your efforts can go to waste. In this video, I'll teach you the basics to help you get the most out of your Pilates. Step 1, finding your neutral spine. If you want to look after your back, you want to be performing your exercises in neutral spine. We're going to use our hands to figure out where this actually is. Place your hands on your lower abdomen with the base of your palms on your hip bones and the tips of your fingers right on your pubic bone. Now adjust yourself so your pubic bone and hip bone are level with the ground. It should be nice and parallel with a slight gap between your lower back and the floor. This is neutral spine. Structurally, we're all a little different though, so my gap may look a little bit different to yours, but a neutral spine has a natural curve through the lumbar, so it's okay to have a slight gap between your lower back and the floor. Think about how it feels. You want to keep that tailbone connected to the ground at all times when you're performing movements. You can even have a mirror next to you, just to double check that you are in the correct position. Now what you don't want to see is a posterior pelvic tilt, so where your pubic bone is actually higher than the hip bone. You'll no longer be level with the ground or parallel with the floor. In fact, your lower back may typically be pushing into the ground. And this can actually give you a poor posture further up the chain. You also don't want to have your hip bones higher than your pubic bone. Same thing, you won't be level or parallel with the ground. In fact, I've got a really high arch in my lower back here. This is what we call an anterior pelvic tilt. Both those posterior or anterior tilts can give you back issues, and that's why we want to be performing the majority of our Pilates positions in a neutral spine. So let's talk about the breath. You can place your hands on the base of the ribs so that you can feel that your ribs expand laterally when you breathe in, and then tighten like a corset when you breathe out. Now if you got the hang of this and you can feel those ribs, see if you can keep it tight even as you breathe in. The breath doesn't actually need to be huge. Here you can see that it's actually changing my shoulder posture around. My shoulders coming off the floor when I breathe out. It's even causing my abdominals to dome outwards, which is not what you want to see. You want to be able to see that every time that you breathe in, you're actually tightening those abdominals, and it's almost like flattening out the stomach. See if you can hold that tightness as you breathe in and breathe out. So now you're ready for your T-zone activation. It's made up of two things, your pelvic floor and your transverse abdominis. You can imagine that it looks like a T. You're drawing that pelvic floor up. It should feel like you're holding in a pee and a fart at the same time, while you're also tightening the hip bones together into the center. And so that should look like a T, pelvic floor up and hip bones together. You can place your fingers just on the inside of your hip bones and then push down into that transverse abdominis to feel the muscle activation. You can also place your thumbs just on the side of your torso because your transverse abdominis wraps all the way around your body, goes all the way down to the pubic bone and all the way up towards the ribs. Now this is the trick, trying to keep that T-zone active as you breathe. So see if you can do a couple of rounds of inhales and exhales, all while keeping that T-zone active. You want to remember to keep the ribs tight, the spine neutral, and the tailbone on the floor at all times. This is the basics of Pilates. Every single exercise that you do in Pilates is built to challenge the ability to keep that T-zone on. So whether you're using the legs, or you're using the arms, or even using your abdominals. All of these are trying to test that ability to keep that T-zone on. So now you know the basics, go out there and give it a go. Thanks for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it or got something out of it, hit that like button. If you want to see more tutorials or more exercise breakdowns, you can subscribe for more. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.